Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my name is OctoMan and today we are continue with our simple game design training. In this part I want to talk about going into achievements and building up some, let's say, simple achievement system for the game I was starting to create over here. So, what is an achievement system is rather simple. It's nothing else than like a quest system. And probably you already have seen my quest tutorial series, or probably have a quest system already. And you probably already know what this is going to be about. And a quest system, or in this case, we are going to create an achievement system in which we're gonna need to create a management system which we can talk to, which we can update, which we can sooner or later hopefully also can save anywhere, like on a PC or wherever we want to. Probably also put this into a database or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter actually where we save things. First off, we need to build up a system which is which is rather solid as well as working well the way we want it to do. So meaning whenever we solve or whenever we create an achievement or whenever we let's say complete an achievement, then we want to make sure that this achievement, or whenever we do an action actually, we want to talk to the achievement management system. We want to tell it, hey, I have an update for you. Then we want to update this achievement as soon as necessary, or once we do something, like we're gonna have like 1,000 clicks, then we want to report to the achievement manager, which holds an info about the achievement itself. So meaning a description, a counter, and something like that, so we can configure the achievements for whatever we want it to be. Then we just report by its ID or by anything else, like by the name itself or something like that. We're gonna put all of these possible achievements into a list. Then we can later on, as you already know, just loop through this complete list, do whatever we have to do. We're gonna update the achievement, whichever it is, like a quest system, talk to it and make sure that all of the UI later on is going to update itself. Probably we're gonna get some points for that and can unlock some other things with these achievement points. Whatever it is, it actually doesn't really matter. But we want to take a look into how we can build this up from scratch, literally, because some or the other games may or may not need to have a quest or achievement system. So basically, an achievement system is nothing else than a quest system. A quest system is literally doing the same stuff. It just have a class about all the content. We're gonna create new instances of that. We don't go into editor scripting today, but we're gonna go into how we build the things up. Like, we always need to understand, or you always need to understand, how a system is built. What do you really need for this particular systems, and how we can talk to this particular systems. And we already talked about this by using an inventory in which we just in which we just store information anywhere. We just flush the data in, we compare, do we have something like that or do we not have something like that already. Then we're gonna fill the data in to just update it by saying, okay, add this item or remove this item from the inventory when we do this or that action. And basically this achievement manager or the achievement system or quest systems in general are nothing else than that. We just create this system. So what I have created already is an achievement manager script over here, just nothing inside. As you can see in the inspector, nothing is really in here. I just open this one up and we start to build up. So what we can do is we can hold everything separately, or we can put everything like inside the inventory, or in this case the achievement manager. Basically it doesn't matter, since the achievement manager can also hold a single class which we can inherit, or which we can actually go through, whatever it is. Okay, so what I need to press over here is, of course, all my messages away, and I start to work around this achievement manager right now. So if you're using Visual Studio, make sure your autocomplete is always going to work on your side. So whenever you have any issues, your autocomplete doesn't work, or you don't see these names going to be blue over here, then make sure everything works 100%, everything is connected 100% to Unity Engine. I'm using a rather old version of Mono Develop over here, but still one or the other works, and mine is working perfectly. So first off, as usual, I get rid of start and update since I want to make sure that I start, let's say, rather clean over here. And whatever I don't need later on, I can just get rid of. By the way, guys, if you have any questions on the fly, just feel free to ask them, and I may or may not be able to answer them. Meanwhile, we are working on this achievement manager system. So what do we need? What is an achievement? An achievement is nothing else than a class which holds information about the achievement itself. So, and that's what we can produce. We can do this like directly inside the achievement manager class, because this is the only possible or the only necessary way, or the necessary part where we can hook these things up. Or we're gonna make this outside of the class like here, or we create a completely new script, because we don't need to inherit mono behavior by this class. So up to you, all about the stuff you want to actually talk about, or whatever you need to think about is going to be, where do I put this, and where do I need this actually? Do I need it outside? Well, then put it outside, otherwise you don't need to. So it needs to be public, it needs to be a class, and that's going to be just my achievement. I hope I don't have any typos. If so, well, then it is what it is. An achievement. So we just create an empty achievement with nothing inside. It's just a class, it holds informations later on. We want to later on create achievements. I'm not quite sure if an E has to be in here, because, well, English is not my native language, but I'm gonna go over that later on. Doesn't really matter at all. Okay, so we're gonna have an achievement, and to make this one useful for us, meaning we can show that inside the inspector, we go and put this and make this serializable. So this is important. Serializable inherits system, so you can put like the system directly over here on top, like using system, and so you only have to type serializable, or you say system.serializable is basically the same, so you use the namespace system directly in square parentheses. So again, what is an achievement, or what it consists of, is rather simple. First off, all the variables inside this class need to be public, so we can access them, we can type stuff in, whatever we need. We have two things we need in general. It's first an ID, so we can actually talk to a specific ID and update it accordingly. The next one is we're gonna have something like a public string, and probably like, let's say a name. Not in quotes, but just something like, yeah, just let's take name. So this name of this achievement is going to be whatever it is. We can also, if we want to, put another one which is going to describe whatever we have, is also of type string. So we can name this one description. So once again, the achievement class is only a data container. It will just hold the information for us. We're gonna visualize that and store that inside a list later on, because, well, it is dynamic. We can add as much as information, as much as achievements or quests or whatever you wanna see over there in this particular one. So next one is we're gonna have to solve a specific achievement. So we need to count things. So, and for that we're gonna have to have another integer, like of the what is the necessary amount. So we can say, or we can name this something like a needed amount. And it basically, once again, doesn't really matter what type of amount this is going to be. We just count things up. If you only have like a true-false scenario, we still count up to 1, meaning we never will be able to overdo it, as an example. So we can limit things and so on and so forth. And whenever something is 1, we still get the achievement. So we have literally a true-false scenario at this point. Next one is we need to have a current amount, so meaning we need to know what we have already achieved, so we're gonna name current amount. If you want to, you can visualize that using a slider directly inside the inspector, but well, up to you completely. If you don't want to use sliders and stuff like that, then we just go over and use these just normal integers in this case. Once again, we just put this info later on into a list to fill it up, give it an ID, a name, and all the other good stuff over there as well. So next one is we have a needed amount, we have a current amount, and Well, this basically knows everything about it. What we also want to have is probably a bool which just notifies something like if the quest or the achievement has been completed. So a true means we don't need to go further. If we have done like we loop through, we check which ID did we actually check. Then we check if that has been completed already or not. If it has been completed, then we just break out and say nothing, or don't go further into the details, and there we go. So this is probably everything we need to have for an achievement. So again, a needed amount is going to be for like click 20 times. Then this is the needed amount, and then we have the current amount, which checks do we have it solved or achieved that already. If that is so, then we're gonna check this boolean, and then we like show a UI which we can animate or fill data in. Like, okay, you have solved this, then we show this UI, and then we update everything accordingly, and the achievement has been, completed, and we already know that also for or within the list we're gonna create right now. So once again, this is everything we need to know about an achievement, like two identifiers by using an ID and a name if we want to, a description about what we need to achieve, like what we need to do over there, and then the needed, the current amount, as well as a completed one over there, like a completed bool. Good. Next one is we need to have a public list of type achievements, so we can actually put achievements together, so we can create them on our own. We can say, okay, press this button or that button, or do this or do that, do clicks, do have or achieve this or that amount of money if you want to, like, or hold this or that specific amount of money, unlock like upload, or what shall I say, like, I don't know, update or upgrade specific tools for a different, at a specific or to a specific level, all of that content over here. So this needs to have a new name. I guess we're gonna name this just achievements with a small a, as it just tells us, and we say is equal to new list of type achievement, open close parentheses, and close the line with a semicolon. And that's basically everything for the moment. So let's take a look into the into Unity and see what's going on with that achievements now. I'm gonna put this also into my game manager. If I want to, you can do this, you don't have to, but as you can see, currently everything is connected to it, so why not put the achievement manager into this as well. What you can see is we have now an achievement list over here, and we can flush in like 5 or 10 or whatever the amount is we want to do. I'm gonna put 1 so we can take a look into what it is really about. And what you can see now is we're gonna see all the content, or the public content, into the list over here. Hi, Liquid. Thanks for the nice words. I'm glad you like the pinball tutorial series. So if somebody else is going to be interested into it, just check out my Udemy account over there, or probably also want to go to Skillshare, in which I can literally show you what's going on and so on. So once again, we have now this achievements rather setting up, so we can give it an ID, we can give it a name, something like do this, do that, or just hi Eero, thanks a lot for tuning in as well. In which we can just say, okay, we'll give it a name. It doesn't really matter. We can, hi Yanni, welcome back. Long time no see, I guess. In which we just pass in all the information, like for example, we just gonna just name this one test, whatever it is. Once again, we can use that as an identifier as well as the ID. Basically, it doesn't really matter. You can use one or the other, I guess. Then we can say this is just a test. Just a test. We can fill in data whatever we want to, and we say, okay, the needed amount is 1 and the current amount stays at 0. Usually we want to hide this inside the inspector when we don't need to see this. Then we can do this directly inside the class with the square brackets and say hide in inspector. And completed, of course, has to be like hidden as well, so we literally don't want to mess around with that bottom stuff over here. I just keep them public in general. They need to stay public, but once again, we can also hide them. What we can do is we can also put some headers inside over here, something like, first off we say header, open close parentheses, and in quotes we can put in something like, don't touch this, don't touch those. Because they have to fill automatically, they have to update automatically. And if you put that stuff in, like these headers, you're gonna see them appearing over here. So here you're gonna see, okay, don't touch those. And you can put also spaces in between on all the other good stuff. And if they are going to become literally invisible, then this header should be invisible later on as well, or you just get rid of it. So just so you know, in Inspector, when you need to put some stuff together, make use of headers so you can see stuff easier. Let's talk about the list itself. So we have to do several things with that achievements. First, we need to connect to the achievements list and update the achievement with the amount coming in. The amount is always going to be 1, I guess, except it is something like earn this and that amount of money, then probably you wanna have an access point directly for that. So in that case, we need to make sure first that we have total access to the achievement manager from any point in the game, and you know already what's going on. We need to make this one some kind of a static behavior. We need to make sure that this is a singleton. So in that case, we're gonna create a new public. I usually do this directly above over here, so I always know I have done this. A public static achievement manager. Give it a name called instance or whatever you want to name it. And then we need to create another function in the bottom over here, which is called awake. And of course it needs to be, doesn't need to be public, but it has to be a type void, of course. Okay, autocomplete sometimes is not happy with my inputs, but no problem overall. So we do put instance is equal to this, as we already did with the game manager, as we already did with the achievement or the inventory system. So we can always talk to it. So whenever we say achievement manager .instant .something, then we can do whatever is in .something. And to have something, we need to create a public variable, public, let's say, function which is going to do whatever we want it to do. So in that case, we want to say something like update achievement, or we can also name this increment achievement or whatever we want to. So when we update it, we want to do multiple things. First off, we want to check probably for an ID in here, so we need to pass an int ID, and then we have also another one which is going to be the actual amount to update. So we say int amount, so the incoming amount of whatever we want to update this achievement with. Once again, this is the same as a quest system. Both are working hand in hand. Oh, by the way, for an achievement itself, if you want to have something like achievement points or points to get or points to achieve, I would say, let's say something like points, then you want to put this here as well. Like if you want to get 35 points for this and 100 points for that, it's like the reward you're gonna get in return, like for fulfilling this achievement. If you don't need those points, of course, then just keep them as 0. Or just get rid of them. Basically, it doesn't matter at all. Once again, it's basically the same. In a quest system, by the way, the rewards are going to be a bit different based on whatever you want to give in return. Like you can put an item, you can put some amount of coins, some amount of EXP, and so on. So a quest system is a bit more complex in general, but basically is going to be about the same. We can also use, by the way, the achievement system or the quest system. We can also make use of a secondary ID, which represents an item to get or whatever it is. And if something is like -1, then we don't touch it at all. Once again, there are hundreds of possibilities for that. Just think about it and you get an idea. So we're gonna update our achievement. So what we want to do is we want to update the achievement inside our achievement list. So first we need to find the ID which we want to update, and then we're gonna update it by the amount. And of course, in the end, we want to check if basically the current amount is equal to the needed amount. If that is the case, we update it to be completed. Pretty simple. So this is how we can update it if we need to. So first off, we need to find the actual instance or the actual quest, the achievement, if it is actually available. So what we can do is we can loop through that by using a for each loop. Since we don't change anything inside the achievements meanwhile we do that, we should be able to make use of a for each loop. So what we can do is we can, by the way, you can double tab, like tab the tabulator key, put it or just press it twice. I'm going to show again. If you type in for or for each over here and then you hit the tabulator key twice, then you can actually create this the rest for the for each automatically. Hi, Augustine, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'm glad you liked the RPG tutorial. Well, it wasn't really an RPG, but, well, yeah, the fighting system, I guess. Yeah, I probably gonna go over that later on again and update it to be a bit more, let's say, useful. So, well, what we want to do now is we want to go and loop through with a for each through a collection. The collection is going to be our achievements list over here, so we can literally just copy and paste the name over here. And this item over here is going to be literally an achievement type class. So we can now go and, if you want to, can rename this one here to be an achievement because, well, it is the type of the item. An item over here in that case is just going to be the name of the item. Like we can give it any name. We can give it an A for achievement or a small achievement as already has been shown over there. So we can do something like A dot do something. So in that case we want to first off check out if A actually a dot ID is going to match the ID we're gonna put in over here. If that is true, then we know we found the correct achievement for that, and we can go further. If that is the case, we also want to check if a dot completed, so if the quest has been or the achievement has been completed, but in that case we want to make sure that it has not been completed. Otherwise, we don't want to go forward and we can just leave literally the complete for each loop in this particular case. But that's pretty much everything we need to know over here at first. So once again, we check first the quest ID or the achievement ID. We'll also check if when this matches, then we check the next one is going to be if A has been completed or not. If it hasn't been completed, then we can go and update the achievement. So in that case, we can say something like A dot current amount plus equal whatever the amount is we're going to pass in over here, like the amount inside the update achievement. And in the second turn, whenever we do this and when we update that, we can also check if a dot needed amount, like after we update it, if a dot needed amount is equal, or literally let's start the other way around. If the current amount is bigger or equal the needed amount, but of course we need to go into a dot needed amount. If that is true, then we know we have solved or completed the actual achievement. Pretty simple, I guess. So just simple mathematics. We compare our current amount with the needed amount, and then we say, okay, if that is the case, we say a dot completed. Probably that is going to give us an issue. And of course we need to set this one to be equal to true. This can happen that the for each is going to give us some problem later on because we are changing something. Meanwhile, we are inside A. If that is the case, we switch from for each and go into a normal for loop at this particular point. Once again, this can happen. It can happen that something is pretty much strange over here. At this point, whenever this happens, we probably need to break out of the for each at this case, or we just say we return at this point so we don't have any issues or meanwhile going forward. Once again, this is something we need to take a look into. So again, we want to update the achievement. We loop through the complete achievements list. We check if we find the corresponding ID from whoever's actually giving us this particular ID over here, and check if the quest has not been completed, or in this case the achievement has not been completed. If that is the case, we update the current amount of the current found achievement, add the incoming amount to it, and if we have actually the same, or like if the current amount is bigger or equal than the necessary amount over here, we set the quest or the achievement to be true, and then we get out of here. So this is basically everything to update this. So we can do basically the same with an ID, like not using an ID, but a string parameter, as we can talk to the quest. I'm gonna completely copy this complete one over here, and instead of using a integer over here, I'm gonna give it a string identifier. So string, let's say name. So in that case, we can now go and check for a specific name in this particular case instead of using an ID. But you can see we can use the same function, but we just have two different parameters over here. So we can make use of a name as a string to look for, and in that case we say a.name. If a.name is equal to the incoming name or identifier, whatever you call it, and the same is going to happen, then of course we can talk to it and update it accordingly. Pretty good. So as you can see, we just compare the name or the ID. We can do both. We can, but we should only do one or the other one, like however you want to talk to it. And later on, when we go and test this out, we're gonna try to do this. And what I want to test now is if our achievement system works. And we have like multiple things to test things out. Basically, whenever we, by the way, we're gonna animate things maybe, or just show something like a I don't know, like a text box or something. Hey, you made it. We're gonna go over that in a second as well. What I want to test now is if I am able to trigger an achievement or just send an amount to an ID we have prepared beforehand. So in that case, I'm gonna make maybe a simple input like with a space key or something. So if I press space, so input the get button down, I guess it's the same, get button down with key code dot space. Space, we want to call our function is maybe I need to do with get key down, because that's a key code. So if I'm going and inputting with a space key, I want to talk to our achievement over here and increment the amount by 1. For now we do this internally, nothing fancy at all. Later on we can also do this from outside. So what we want to do is we call update achievement. Which one doesn't really matter. We can, as you can see, have now two options over here. It says 1 out of 2, and if I go upwards, I like pressing the up key. I can see, okay, I can put in an int ID or a string name, and since I know the string name, I can put in something like test, and then I can pass in the amount of 1, and then I'm good to go. I'm gonna save that and go back to Unity and see if I'm able to do this. Once again, the naming convention later on of the like this name over here needs to be 100%, absolutely. And let's assume we need to have like 5 times. I need to press 5 times the space key. I go out of maximize on play and just play completely right now, so we can test if we are able to count into this name test over here and see if the actual current amount goes up when I press the space bar. Let's test it out. I hit space now, and what you can see is the current amount now is 1 just by pressing space. And I can do this like 5 times right now, or actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I now press that the last one, you're gonna see that the completed boolean gets activated. And when I now press another space one, the current amount doesn't increase. This is good because we now can instantly go out of the for each. We don't really actually enter this, or we don't go further into this step. So now we have a completed quest with, we have compared needed amount as well as current amount. And that's it. Now we just need to visualize like everything we have set it up beforehand. And to visualize that, we can create a new item holder with different things, and then just put that into a list so we can see first of what we need to do. And of course, when we have achieved an achievement, then we probably do like a little item or like an info box in which we see a description, probably an icon or something in which it says achievement complete, you got this, and after like, I don't know, 3 seconds, we just blend it out again. So to get some dynamics into it. And let's create this little item box, or this, let's say, this achievement box, because I guess this is what we want to see over here. And we can also do like animate things if we want to. We can just create a new image at first over here, like so. I'm gonna make this maybe a bit different colorful, and I try to find my box UI. I guess it's this one. So I have like this border around it. I have, I believe I showed you how you can do all of that. If not, well then just go backwards. So I can literally put this to any point I want to. I can put this like here. I can anchor this to the bottom, to the top. Actually doesn't really matter. Probably I do this, anchor this to the bottom over here and drag it up just a slight bit. So I keep the anchor at this point. I can also make this, let's say, a bit more like that. Once again, design completely up to you. I don't want to go into this too much. I just want to show you things like how these things do work. In my image, first of all, I want to rename this. It's going to be my achievement box or panel or whatever. Currently it's anyhow, let's see. I hope it's separated. Yes, it is. So what I now want to have is another UI text inside, so I can put in any text I want to show what's going on over here. So in that case, I can do something like, actually I don't even need to put any text in there because we update this by code, of course. I'm gonna put this to the left and to the center. I'm gonna maybe make this one a bit bigger. And you can literally design this again as you please and like. I go to best fit over here and change the color to be bold. You can also put your own fonts over here. Just put them into any fonts folder and then just drag them into the characters over there. If you like whatever you, whenever you're done with all of that, you can put this or place this wherever you want to. I'm gonna put another image over here. I make this a bit smaller. We're holding down shift. You can just make stuff smaller, like uniformly by using the corners. And what I want to put in is my little achievements, you know, my little achievements icon. So people know, okay, this achievements button or this achievement has to do something with an achievement. And by the way, you can also put another text here. Maybe I put this over there and name this one achievement complete or something like that. And after that you can put another text in which you fill the actual info about the achievement. So we duplicate this as an example and put here something like test achievement, just so we see what's going on over here. Maybe I'm gonna make this a bit smaller. So and I'm gonna center this to the actual image. Maybe I'm gonna do the same over here. Like whatever the name of the achievement is going to become part of that, like later on. Maybe I'm gonna center this here as well. And I want to make sure that I don't overdo it onto the star over there. Okay, so with that out of the way, we have like a simple design together. Once again, we can also say we want to make this one here a bit larger or whatever it is. Basically, you know, up to you, as I said before. We want to make use of best fit, so whenever achievement has a longer name, that it automatically resizes itself. For that is, this one here is not even necessary, I guess, to be resizable. But all of that, once again, depends later on the device you want to go for. Good. For that achievement box, we also need to have a little script which takes the information and brings this into our achievement text at the bottom. Probably I'm going to make something with the colors over there, but once again, doesn't really matter for us at the moment. So I'm going to create a new C# script, which is just going to be my connector to this achievement box. So I maybe name this achievement box. And what we need is just one thing, except you want to have more informations, like probably another image over here, like based on the achievement earned. Then you can also switch these out if you want to. You only need to create one achievement box, just keep that in mind. Oh, and by the way, I want to do preserve aspect ratio in the item over here, or in the actual image. The achievement box goes directly onto the base of the box, and we double click to open in Mono Develop, Visual Studio, whatever you're using. It takes a second over here. And I open this one. What we don't need is start and update. We just need to have a connection to the text field so we can fill in data. So we say using Unity Engine .ui. Otherwise, we don't have any access to UI things, I would say. And what we can do is we can add multiple things inside the achievement box. Like when we activate it, we can animate it if we want to. When we then we want to wait like maybe 5 seconds, and then we want to disable the achievement box again. We can use several different effects and so on and so forth. Or we can just say, okay, we put this on and we put this off. This is completely up to us or up to you. So I'm gonna put in the text field for the info about the achievement. So in that case, I just named this one maybe info box, or let's say achievement text. So basically, we just hook this one later on to update the achievement text. And to update it, of course, we need to create just a super simple function, which needs to be public. Otherwise, we don't have access to it, of course, as you already know, I guess. So we say public void update text or something, update text. And what we need to pass in is the text we want to update. So, or let's say the message we want to pass in. And so what we need to do is we need to fill in whenever we the achievement is completed. We want to call call the achievement box, say, hey, update the text based on whatever the message is we want to pass in. So for doing that, we probably also want to make this achievement box a static instance, so we can always talk to it from any point in the game again. And in that case, we need to make sure that we hook it up to the achievement manager. But also, whenever we hook it up to the achievement manager, we can also use some simple drag and drop thing and just talk to it directly from taking the drag and drop. Once again, totally up to you. So when we want to update this, we just say achievement text dot text, because we want to talk to the string parameter is equal to whatever the message is. And that's it. If you want to be super clean, you can also say at start, so not public, but just void start, and open close parentheses, open close curly brace. You can say achievement text.text is equal to nothing. So we just put in a quote with nothing inside, so we don't see what's going on over there. Good. Once again, for instant access, we can say something like we create an instance of that, which is absolutely possible, no problem at all. Also, what we maybe want to do at start is we want to hide that particular achievement box. Once again, if you work with animations, no worries about it. Basically the same, just call the animation and you're good to go. And like if it is like a blend in, like you change the alpha of the achievement, then you wait for 5 seconds and then you just disable that. So again, on start we want to do this. Whenever we update the text, we also want to hide, after a couple of seconds maybe, want to hide the complete achievement box again. We're gonna take a look into that right now. So first off, in start again, we want to say we want to take our game object, so the game object where this object or where this script is going to be on, we want to set it to be inactive. So we say set active is equal to false, so we deactivate it. So whenever we now update this one, we want to make sure whenever we update the text, we want to make sure that we set this particular text to be, or the game object to be equal to true. So we activate this particular box. Then we put the message text into it, so we see what's going to be the achievement we have actually fulfilled. Once again, the message comes later on from the achievement manager, so we pass that in here as well. And then we want to make sure that after a couple of seconds, we want to say which one or which amount, literally what is the time to reactivate or deactivate it. I want to create another function for that, so something like void hide box. Open close parentheses, open close curly brace, and what we want to do whenever we actually I want to hide this, we're gonna set the game object back to be false. Again, if you want to use an animation, you can do so. So you play an animation, hide or unhide that by going up and down, left and right, whatever you want. Again, totally up to you. So now we need to anyhow call this whenever we are done with showing long enough. In that case, we can make use of invoke. So we can invoke something like a specific method with a string name and give it a time, as you can see, as an input parameter. So first off, we want to talk hide box. So hide box, that's the name of the function over here. And then we want to say after, let's say 5 seconds or maybe 3 seconds, we want to make sure that this gets hidden actually after 3 seconds. So whenever we are updating our text, we first off we show the achievement, we show the or update the message, and then we invoke hide box, and after 3 seconds that should be hidden. Don't forget to save. And that should be it for the box over here. Once again, we can now tell the achievement box to be a static instance. So we say public static achievement box instance, and in void awake, I'm gonna put this usually above start so I know I got it. So void awake instance is equal to this. So when we have that out of the way, we can now talk from our achievement manager to the achievement box.instance and say, hey, update the text with whatever is necessary. And that's what we're gonna do whenever our actual achievement has been completed. So in here, and also we need to do this also here in the other one with the string name, we can say now achievement box dot instance dot update text. And now we need to pass in the message we want to show. In that case, it's a dot name or description, whatever you want to. So for me, it is a dot name. And once again, you can also put the description into it. Once again, totally up to you. And that's it. I just copied and pasted that from here to here because our achievement is completed, and we should be able to see an achievement popping up like this window with the correct text. But before we can do this, we need to hook the achievement text like the second one, I guess. So this is and I just call it needed text. I just want to make sure that I hook this text component into the achievement text field over here so we can see what's going on. Don't forget to save. Like also your screen over here, and I press play, and I should not see this achievement box at the very beginning. You can see it hides itself completely, as you can see over here. And now I need to do whatever my quest was telling me. I don't remember what we have done. Oh, I need to press space 5 times. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's completed. You can see achievement complete test, and after 3 seconds it's gone. So now we have like an achievement system which runs fully. I can try to trigger that again, but it's impossible. So pretty good, pretty simple, as you have seen. No worries about anything, just a list with things over here. We can also do, or we now are able to design all our achievements literally to whatever we want them, and we're gonna see an achievement box popping up like for 3 seconds. You can also put it 5 seconds, whatever it is, and then it goes off. Pretty good. There's one more thing you might want to take a look into later on, is whenever there is currently an achievement scene, that you probably override it, or you just maybe create a new instance or wait like give it another, let's say, weighting before you hide or unhide that, because you may or may not invoke the achievement here 2 times. Probably it's not what you want to see over there. Once again, there are different things you can do, like whenever an achievement box is active, that you wait like for a couple of seconds, and then you update, then you go into like another role and pass in the correct message, like you store this for a second, and so on and so forth. All, once again, totally up to you. Just keep that in mind. Good. With that out of the way, the last thing we want to do is we want to see which are possible achievements. And so we're going to make use of this button over here, so we can literally see what are the achievements in our list we want to achieve, and then we are good to go. And the complete achievement system works 100%. Once again, the update was working perfectly fine by just pressing like the space bar, and then we can design like hundreds and thousands of different achievements, put them all into the list. Once again, I'm not going over editor scripting, which would be part of sorting things out, deleting them, and so on and so forth. Also automating like giving them the correct ID based on whatever the element's number is, and so on and so forth. Again, that is something we need to do, I guess, completely in editor scripting. But once again, I guess that's too much for today. Okay, good. So with an on-click event, I want to trigger now a list which shows me what are the possible achievements for possible things. And to do that, we once again need to create a little, let's say, bar, or like this box over here, including the achievements listed. Like basically we want to maybe make it like that. We can later on put our own images, whichever images we want to, if we want to implement them, and everything will be filled automatically. We can just use sprites and put them onto these images, as I said before. We can also keep them all as they are. Once again, you get the idea whenever you touch this. So what we now need to have is not just that box at the bottom. We also want to make sure that we have like a kind of a achievements panel. Again, I'm gonna go and duplicate the upgrades panel right now because I'm lazy today. I guess you get this together. I'm gonna name this achievements panel, and of course I want to redesign some things over there. I hit enter, so I get this. Also, the button for closing it later on is going to be a different one, so we're gonna take a look into this later on. But also I want to redesign the actual grid shown over here, so like this grid layout group which currently sits in this point. What I want to do is first, before I go directly into the grid, I go and create a new UI image. I give it another color so I can see this like on the white surface. Once again, a design decision I have had to make. And I want to do something like, let's say this, broad. Want to center this out. What I want to know is how that looks in the end. Also, I'm gonna give it my little frame, if I can. Let's see. Doesn't let me. Not quite sure. I guess this one is the right one. Yep. So I see what I'm going to work with. So next one is like this is going to be the actual panel. Okay, so let me name this a holder. So the achievement holder, literally like with the other ones where I was using the actual what was it called? The item holder, I guess. So this one here is going to be my achievement image. So you can put in anything you want to. I'm gonna just make it so that it fits my design. Again, I can put in like anything I want to. Any image I have created beforehand can be placed in that. And what I also want to have in this holder is my text elements, basically two. The first one is going to be the title, like the name of the achievement. The second one is the description of the achievement. So in that case, I want to center this one out. This is going to be, again, I just name it name so I know what's going on. I want to make it best fit. I want to make it bold, I guess, so I can see this better, and fully black, of course. So again, design totally up to you. Give it a size and just duplicate it and bring this like at the bottom over here. And this one is like maybe not going to be best fit at this point, not quite sure, but then we need to play around with these. Maybe we're gonna do best fit, but we do a maximum size of 20 or something. I'm gonna make it left-sided and upper side, so this is basically the description. Description. And our list later on, whenever we create like all our items inside this list over here, we want to make sure that this totally 100% works. Meaning that all of these items are going to be spaced out completely correct, and so on and so forth. Okay, so talking about spacing, I'm gonna get rid of my, I guess, my grid. Maybe not. Let me create another UI image, because probably we need to think about making this one, let's say, scrollable or something based on the size and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna resize that. Let's see, what is the size of the achievement panel? Oh, it's like a full size. So this overlaying image over here is going to be like my holder, I would say, or my scroll. I'm gonna name this scroll Rect or something, so I can scroll this content, whatever is inside that. Inside the scroll Rect over here, I want to create now another UI image, and I'm gonna name this one, this is going to be the new grid at this point. And I want to make it so that is like I hold on Control key, no, the Alt key, and go unify stretch or uniform stretch. So it's resizing automatically to the size of the scroll rect. And inside grid, we're going to pass in all our content later on by using a vertical layout group. As an example, there are 100 possibilities once again. So what does it mean is when we have a scroll rect, we can put like scrollable content, and the grid is going to be the scrollable content. Then also we can put a mask onto the scroll rect as well, so we don't see what's going on under these items. We're gonna take a look into this in a sec as well. So on my grid, I guess I need to have a first off a vertical layout group, so I can vertically lay out things. We're gonna take a look into these items, I guess, in a second as well. And what I put in is my A holder over here. So the A holder has a size, and since we are using a vertical layout group, we probably want to protect content to be not overridden, meaning we can use a layout element over here. And I guess, I'm not quite sure, we need to fit the minimum width over here. I'm not quite sure. Again, we're gonna take a look into this whenever we go. I'm gonna make in case, I'm gonna make a safe copy of the holder and put now this A holder into this particular grid. I'm gonna hide the other one. So what you can see is the actual A holder now is vertically fitted onto the into the grid over here. When I duplicate this now, it should be anywhere else. As you can see over here, it's like spacing not correctly, because we want to have this like top to bottom in that particular list. In that case, we need to go into I guess into the grid layout group itself and make it so that the spacing, well, it seems to be at 0 at this point, so I'm gonna test it out. Maybe it's about the grid, which probably needs to be anchored in the top left. Well, it's not. I believe also the grid needs to have a content size fitter onto it, and we need to vertically fit the, I guess, the minimum size. So what you can see now is it's going to be like sticking top to bottom up to wherever it has to be, and now I need to re-anchor, I guess, this one to the top left. And when we now fill or put another one, I'm gonna Control D for duplicate. You can see it's anyhow it moves upwards. I can do this like multiple times, but it leaves kind of the scroll rect itself to the top, which is bad. So we may need to go and put the anchor again to the top left corner. I also hold it down Shift to see if the pivot point needs to be at this point. I duplicate again, and now we see that we can fill the 1000 achievements over here. now to the grid back once again. We want to make use of spacings. So we have I have a spacing of maybe 5 pixels in between those items, and also I may want to go into the alignment of the items inside it. So meaning I want to have this like a padding from the left and from the top inside the grid. So we can go to padding, play around with these numbers, like maybe a 10 pixels from the left. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less, completely up to your size, and maybe also 10 from the top. So we have, maybe 10 is a bit too much. Maybe something like 8 and 8 over here. Yeah, maybe that looks better. So with all these, we can update, and we can, let's say, we can, fill in data and content whenever we like instantiate all these item or this holder objects. So, and to do so, we need to have a script also onto our holder object, which contains like the connection to the image as well as to the description text. So, like not the maybe also to the image based on what you want to do at this point. So I'm gonna create a new C# script called achieve holder. So we have a connection to the achievement holder icons over here, as well as the text elements. And we just do the same as we did with the other ones. We just need to create some info object, I would say, in which we can connect like all the text elements and fill in data whichever are necessary. So I put the achieve holder over here and open this one in MonoDevelop or Visual Studio. So we get rid of start and update as usual, so we have nothing in our way. We need to have a connection to text and image elements if necessary to image elements. We also need to make use of Unity Engine.ui for images as well as text elements. So in here we're gonna create our public text fields like public text name text, and we also have a public text description text. I just shortened this one. If you want to have a connection to the image, so if you want to update the corresponding image with whatever an image is going to be over there, then you can also say public image, whatever the image name is going to be. Let's say icon. So we can connect this as well. And whenever we now want to talk to it, of course we need to stay inside the class with our cursor, so these 3 lines are not necessary, meaning whenever we are now updating that, we want to talk to, or like whenever we want to print or show our achievements holder over here, we want to send all the corresponding or necessary information inside the achievement holder whenever we create it based on the loop we're going to do later on through the list of the achievement manager. And to do that, we just create a new function which needs to be public, and then we can say something like set achievement or whatever, achievement, open close parentheses. In here we're gonna pass in all the necessary information, and since we set something, it's of type void, since it doesn't return anything. Anyhow, sometimes the autocomplete doesn't let me do this. So what we now need to pass in is the string name as well as the string description for the actual thing. Once you're done with that, you just say, okay, the name text as well as the description text is going to be equal to whatever is necessary. And if you once again want to implement an icon, in that case you have to have a sprite to send in and set the icon.sprite to be whatever the sprite is. I'm gonna take a look into this in a second as well, so we just do the first one. So first one is name text dot text is equal to whatever we pass in. In that case, we just pass in name. So the name, like this incoming name over here. If that doesn't work, then we need to rename it, but I guess it should. And what we also have to have set is the description text. So dsc text dot text is equal to description. So whatever I pass in within that. Once again, if you have or want to change an icon, you just copy that and create the same thing, but you give here just an extra, like a sprite you want to pass in, sprite, or just name it icon maybe, or underscore icon. And in here we just can create a connection to it. So icon is equal to, or in this particular case, icon.sprite is equal to, you know, underscore icon. And that's it. So now you can also put any icons if you want to. You can you make use of this or that set achievement possibility. Once again, totally up to you. Nothing fancy with that, and I guess you get the idea. Now we just want to show this achievements inside our list. In that case, we need to anyhow create those achievement boxes. And to do that, we need to first off create a prefab for this particular prefab box, or for this particular item or icon thing over here. But before we do that, we want to hook up all the text and image elements. So in this case, we're going to put like name text is name, description text is description, and icon is going to be here my image. Pretty good. So now these are connected to the script. We can talk to them. We have now the connection to them. And now we take the A holder and put this into our A holder script. Once again, if there's something fancy going on over here, we just copy later on the width and the height and bring them inside the inside our part over here about the layout element. So once again, when we do this, we should have like a multiple copies ready over here. And now we need to instantiate like all these holder objects with the corresponding information. And we need to do this inside our achievements holder whenever, or achievements panel, whenever we go and do this, like we're gonna update that. And by the way, this grid over here can be deleted completely. We don't need this anymore. And again, this show updates panel or upgrades panel over here, we need to connect it to our game object or game manager actually, in which we are going to show the other ones. I go through that and try to find it pretty quick, because our game manager has some infos anywhere. I guess it was over there. Let's see if I can pretty quickly find it. Game manager. Oh, it's in upgrades directly. So we can do this directly in the achievements panel as well. Good. So back to achievements manager. I want to have something like an open close functionality. We have like we already have created for the other ones. So in that case, we create a public void show achievements panel, and what we can pass in is whatever we want to, like a bool, like true or false. So we put in bool open, and in here we just go and say achievements, or this game object actually, game object dot set active, no close parentheses, whatever open is. So whenever we call this, whenever we pass in false, we don't show this, otherwise we do show this. In start, we can later on also do this, like automatically deactivate this particular panel. So we can say void start with a big S in the very beginning, open close parentheses, open close curly brace, and then here we just say show achievements panel, and in open close parentheses we can just pass in false. And since that is a public function, we can now take this information, don't forget to save, and bring this onto this little X over here, this little X button. We can now go to Achievements Manager, show Achievements Panel, and in here we're gonna say false, so we don't want to touch this. And whenever we now click later on onto this little star icon over here, we want to do the opposite. We want to say, we go and put an on-click event into our game manager object. We want to say Achievements Manager, show Achievements Panel, and in this case we say true. So whenever we click on that, this panel should open. don't forget to save your scene, and let's test it out. So on start, this should be like deactivated. This panel shouldn't be visible over here. When we have any issues, we need to find that function, but it doesn't do it because I guess we need to hook up the panel directly. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Because in that point we wouldn't go for the actual object, because so we just hide the game manager, but that doesn't make sense. We need to have the panel connected to it, of course. So in that case, we say public game object achievement panel, and we just need to hook it up. I'm gonna copy the name over here, and instead of game object, of course, we could pass in the actual achievement panel over here. And so in our game manager, we're gonna have a panel at the very bottom over here. So I just drag the achievements panel into it. Don't forget to save, press play, and see what's going on over here. Good, so it's hidden. We see also it's deactivated in the hierarchy panel, so our game manager is still running. And whenever we now click on the star, we should be able to open this achievement panel. Pretty good. And whenever we click the X, then we close it. That's what we wanted to achieve. So now we want to fill the list with all the corresponding items. So based on whatever we have in our achievements list. To do that, whenever we, let's say, show that, and this is true, we could fill the list with objects, like with all the holders we have created before, and fill the data into the holder, and then we are good to go. But first off, we need to connect our public game object achieve. I just name it achieve holder, so the holder object, whichever we have saved as a prefab. So in that case, we say, well, it doesn't need to be public, I guess. Void fill or show achievements or update. No, how do we say that? Yeah, maybe yeah, show would be good. Fill would be good. We have had a different name for that. Sell an item, add an item. Draw is nice. So we want to draw our achievement panel or our achievements. Draw achievements, something like that. So this is the function we want to call whenever we open this. And what we want to do is we want to store all the current actual achievement holder objects into a secondary list. I'm gonna put this, I don't know where, doesn't matter. It is a list of type game object, since we want to delete and update them accordingly. So whenever we change something, we want to recreate them. So this is like I just name it maybe holder list over here is equal to a new list of type game object. Like so, open close parentheses, close the line with a semicolon. So we want to now go into this draw achievements part and say, okay, what do we really want to do? Well, we first off want to clear the list. We want to make it empty. We want to delete all the items which are inside the holder list. So we can say for each or for, I guess a for loop is a bit more stable over here. For int I, well no, let me do for each. For each item in our holder list. Let's see if that works. We'll see. If not, once again, we're gonna change that. We're gonna have like game objects over here, so you can change var to be a game object. Nothing fancy overall. Yeah, I can, Augustine. Yeah, that's what I thought here as well. Just looping through with using a for loop, because later on we're gonna do changes. I guess we need a for loop anyways. Yeah, you're right. So let's use a for loop instead. So we're gonna loop through the holder list dot count over here. So this is the maximum indicator. Yeah, I know. I think you're right with the for each. When we delete stuff and then we fill in new data, probably it says, oh, it's impossible because you're using a for each loop. Yeah, they are sometimes these for each loops are really picky at this point. What we want to do is we want to destroy all the objects which we are having in the holder list in square brackets I. at this point, and this is out of range. Okay, yeah, that can be happening, but we want to make sure afterwards that holder list.clear, so we clear the actual holder list after we are done with destroying all the objects, and then we want to fill the new content inside these holder lists. So in that case, we want to go through again through the complete holder list over here. So holder list, whoops, badly copied. Try again. For each or for all the items in holder list dot count, we increment I. Now we want to do just create a new panel and fill in the information. So first off, we create a new game object, name it maybe holder is equal to, and now we instantiate the actual holder item in this case, or the holder game object. I named it achieve holder. And now we need to have a connection to the grid in which we want to put this. So we need to create a new, in this case, a public transform grid in which we want to pass this one in as being our, let's say, parent object. In that case, we want to say to our grid is the transform, and then we'll also want to make sure that we hit a false over here. So we don't want to see this in world space, we want to see this in local space. That's why we need to put a false over here, otherwise we have like weird scaling going on at this point. Good, so when this is now instantiated, we need to fill in the data into the achievement box, which holds all the text about the item from the holder list we are currently looping through. But before we can do that, we need to catch the script of the achievement holder in this case, and then we're gonna fill the data into it. In that case, we can say something like achievements, I guess it's, nope, it's not achievements, it's the holder object.get component. We wanna get a component of type achieve, I guess achieve holder, and open close parentheses, and then we wanna set the achievement up completely. And now we once again have two options. The first option is with just name and description, or the one with the icon, once again totally up to you. I'm gonna use the actual strings from the holder list now, so we can say holder list in square brackets I, because that's the current element we are looping through, and then we have our name in here, and the second one is going to be the holder list in square brackets I dot description text, or whatever I named it. No idea. Let's see. Just description. Okay. So holder list in square brackets I dot I'm not quite sure why it doesn't give me that string here. Like so. And because there is no oh, okay, yeah, of course we need to not take the holder list, we need to take our where is it, our achievement list, where is it, this one, copy, because, well, we currently loop through that, but we want to actually show what is inside achievements and not inside the holder actually, because the holder list just contains the holder objects at this point. Okay, and that's it for this particular point. So we now go, once again, we loop through the amount of oh, that is wrong here as well. We need to loop through the achievements count, because once again we want to visualize the achievements list literally. So we go and instantiate the holder, and then we read from the achievements based on whatever that is, and read the name as well as the description from the actual things. Yeah, just I hope I didn't confuse you too much with that step. So we are not going through the holder, we go through the achievements, of course. Well, because that is the actual list we want to visualize over here. Once we are done with that, what do we need to do? That's a good question. Now we have filled all the information into these. We have created and instantiated the point. We filled in all the data, and then we show, or we should be able to show all the data. Okay, so what we can do is, whenever we show the achievements panel, we can visualize, like draw the achievements. So in that case, we're gonna set this one to be active, whatever it is, and if open is equal to true, then we want to draw the achievements over here, I guess. So just fill or refill the complete data, completely fill all the information over there. Let's test it out. Maybe there are some bugs with that by rescaling our icons over here, but we'll see that in a second. So I click on our achievements tab and we see unassigned reference exception, and I guess you know already what's going on over here. We tried to instantiate something which we haven't actually put it into our achievement holder, as well as our grid is empty, as you can see. So we take our A holder and put this into the game object we want to instantiate. Then we want to fill the grid, and the actual grid is going to be inside scroll rect over here inside this grid. I keep the other one intact because I want to see if we have any issues with the resizing. So later on I just get rid of it and we are good to go. Okay, let's press that button and now we see test. This is just a test, so it fills the information now from our achievement list and basically puts content into it. What we can also do is whenever we show that, whenever we have something like a check mark icon or so, whenever it's completed, we can also tint the text to be green or yellow or whatever, or put another icon like a check mark icon in the back if we have completed one or the other test or achievement in this particular case. So we can now have multiple things, putting them into. I'm gonna get rid of the A holder. I hope I don't destroy anything. And let's fill that, and this is just a test. Pretty good. And now we can, I need to do it here. We can now open and close this, and as you can see, it seems to put the same icon or the same content always into this, because we haven't done the actual we didn't put the holder into the holder list. So, and that's what we need to do as the final step. So we say holder list dot add whatever the holder object is, in this particular case the instantiated holder game object. That's why we need to catch the game object beforehand, otherwise we cannot access it over here at this point. Don't forget to save, and let's test out again. So I deactivate that. Of course we get some warnings over there, nothing fancy overall. We're gonna take a look into the list. We have one. We open this again. As you can see now, it deletes the old holder. Whenever we reopen, it deletes like every different holder in this particular case, and then we are good to go. What I want to achieve now is another thing, is I want to make sure that when we have like multiple holders already in here, that our grid, of course, our grid resizes automatically, but it doesn't overdo our scroll rect. Like in case, as you can see, this blue dots over here, we want to keep them masked at this point. So what we can pass in over here as a new component onto our scroll rect, I guess, is going to be a mask. And in that case, it gets like all the achievements now gets cut away, like visually, by the size of our actual grid. So the grid now is, as you can see, bigger than the scroll rect, and we now keep like everything inside this window, and everything becoming like everything afterwards is becoming like invisible. I'm gonna go in again into scroll rect and disable the mask, and I want to see if we can also make this one pretty quickly scrollable. For that we need to, I guess, add a scroll rect to this scroll rect component. What is the content we want to scroll is actually our grid content over here, so we pass the rect for that. I guess that should be correct. We want to make it only scroll vertically, so we get rid of horizontal. We can make it elastic if we want to, If we want to make use of a mouse wheel scrolling, we can do something like a 30 or a 60 inside scroll sensitivity. And if you are using horizontal or vertical scroll bars, you can put them here as well. So they will automatically resize based on that. But I want to do just a drag and drop scrolling over here. So let's take a look. I open this, and oh, it doesn't resize correctly, but first off we want to check out scrolling. Looks good. It stays in bounds or automatically corrects its size over here. Maybe we put a bottom to like a bottom padding to our little grid over here. So we have a bit more on the bottom, like 8. So it automatically resizes that as well on the grid. And in the mask, we enable the mask right now, and we should be able to see a fully scrollable rect over there. And whenever we just enable that, and as you can see, also it puts the 8 pixels in the bottom as well as in the top, and we can scroll freely up and down pretty simply at this point. And now we have everything set up, so we can now create multiple hundreds of little achievements for our game. I get rid of all the content because it's not necessary over here anymore. And we can go to our, where is it? We have that, or I have that in my game manager. I can now create multiple, like hundreds of different quests. For example, when I perform a button click. Let's try that out. So click 10 times, or just say click. Then we have like a description, or maybe I'm gonna give it a name, or just just click maybe, or click 10. That's the name of the actual achievement. Then we have like click a button 10 times, something like that. The needed amount, of course, is 10. We give some points. Once again, we don't have anything to use that, so we stay or keep that as 0. We don't touch the other ones because these are not necessary for a point, and that's good to go. If you want to add an extra content or another one, then you can just say, okay, I want to have a size of 2. We shrink these together, and we can say, okay, this is ID 1, and here we have something like maybe click 50 times a button, or click 50, or click 20, click 25. As you can see, we can now simply design all these little achievements together. The needed amount, of course, is 50, and we are good to go. We don't need to do anything else. Currently, once again, we don't go over saving because we just need to loop through that and save that inside whatever, a JSON list or whatever it is, doesn't really matter at all. And then we can later on also go by hand and change things inside if we want to, and if not, well, then not. We can also serialize them, since that are just all of this content over here is just a bool, string, an integer, whatever. Not even a float, but even a float would be serializable simply, so we can create a rather safe save file in which all these elements can be just simply stored. And then we just need to put them anywhere, like onto the PC or onto the device, and so on and so forth. I have several videos about this as well. Don't forget to save, and when we now press play, we should see that we have like these 2 possible achievements over here. So we have like a click 10 and a click 50, and here in this view it always looks a bit shabby. So when I go maximize on play, it should be super crisp in case of text size. As you can see, super easy to read. Maybe like in design cases, you probably want to keep some more space to the icon itself. And now what we need to do is we want to see if we can anyhow finish these achievements by clicking on buttons. And what we have is our button bars over here, which we, if we want to, can implement, but we can also take only these, like only use a pickaxe, only use a shovel, only use a fish button, as you can see. So these buttons do have scripts on them. As you can see, it's the game manager.addFish, game manager.addStone, game manager.removeSand. So these 3 buttons, we're gonna take a look into them, into our game manager. So we're gonna have anywhere, get coin amount, use coins, we're gonna have add fish. So whenever we are done with adding a fish, probably we also want to do this without having stamina. So this is up to us in this particular case. What we now can do is we can talk to our achieve manager, I guess. Dot instance. Dot, well, and now we need to update our achievement. Update achievement. Now once again we open close parentheses and we can now fill in the name of whatever we want to have over here as an ID or a string name. So, but a string name in this particular case is probably not a good idea, but we can do this. So we can do something like click 10, which is going to be the identifier, and it doesn't matter which ID it has. And we can pass in a amount, in this particular case a 1. If you're gonna have like multiple click amount, like click achievements over here, you want to also update click 50 at this case, because basically it's doing the same, right? So it has the same thing, but we're gonna talk to a different identifier for this particular achievement. And I'm gonna copy those two lines. If I have like later on click 1,000 times, click 10,000 times, whatever it is, we can simply just add them to it. Same for adding stone. We can do this before or even without having stamina at this case. And we also have something like, where is it? Removing sand. We're gonna do the same over here as well. Gonna save that and go into this. Oh, and by the way, inside our achievements manager, I want to get rid of my update loop because, well, you know, I don't need it. And test doesn't even exist anymore, so I don't have any issues with that. Going back, pressing play, and test it out. So we can go and add some fish, and we can, oh, that is something which we may or may not should put in here as well. So something like, how much did we actually achieved already? Something like, okay, when I now go and click farm 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can see achievement complete, click 10. And we can do continue clicking the fish or any other of these buttons. We should also be able to do this on these. You can see achievement click 50. Pretty good. So we have like all of these completed in this particular case, and we don't count into them anymore after clicking like multiple times, like how much we actually need to. Once again, if that is like a single achievement, like a 0 out of 1, then that should work here as well. Once again, if you want to actually see how much you already have of how much you want to get, then you can also put just onto the actual achievements text script, literally like onto the holder. You want to get another, want to put another text over here. Maybe we're gonna do this as well, in which we just need to update our set achievements functionality, meaning we need to set in or pass in the actual current amount as well as the needed amount. So we always have something like, okay, we clicked on this, so we want to take a look into how much do we still need, or if it is completed, then we can also say, okay, if it is completed, then we don't need to fill in this text at this point, but we can fill in something like, you know, just another text instead. To do that, I'm gonna go and do achieve folder and put another text just in case, so we get so we have that. So we name this maybe text. What is that? Amount. Text or something like that. We can, by the way, also put some extras to this, meaning we can design this number in the text however we want to. So in here we want to pass in now the integers. So the current amount, we want to pass in another integer which is going to be the needed amount, or maybe we say current and needed, so it's not so long. Current, needed, and probably also we want to pass in completed as a bool, of course. So bool completed. And we can now compare all of these things, and based on whatever the outcome is, like if it is completed, we don't need to put in anything but a completed text. So let's design that. So our amount text needs to be .text, of course, needs to be set to whatever completed is. So what we can make use of is an expression, and probably you heard of it already. So meaning based on completed, this is the actual, this is like the actual expression. If that is completed, we can put a question mark after that, and now we can design like whatever we want to put in. Then we can put a colon, and then we put another string, and then we close the line. I guess it should be correct. Expression has identical true and false branches, which is okay for the moment. So we can also say if it is not completed, then we do the first one. If it is completed, we do the second one. So if it is completed, we want to pass in just complete. Like for, then we don't need to put in the current and the needed amount. But what we can also do is we can put in another one over here, which is showing us the current and the needed ones just however we want them to be visible. So we can say we're gonna take current, then we put a plus and another plus, and in between we put some quotes again, make maybe a slash and maybe some spaces in front and above, and then we're gonna put in needed. So what we do is we show the current amount, then a slash in between with some spaces, so there is some space, and then the needed amount. If we wouldn't put a string in between, then we would need to convert them to be dot to string, because they are literally integers over here. Pretty good, and we can now do the same. We put the other ones like here in here as well. So I'm gonna take all of that, copy amount text, and put this over here. So now we need to finally just put the amount text into our A holder, so our achievement holder, so we know what's going on. Set achievements, of course, we get an error from the achievements manager because it says you want to give only 2 things, but we actually need to add more content. And if it's getting too crowded over here, or the lines do get too long, you can also put a enter and maybe put some tabs in front, and so you can literally put all the content you want to see over here in the correct, let's say, arrangement, and you don't have like a long list of something. So what we want to pass in now is achievement in square brackets I dot whatever the current amount is as an integer. In the next line, we're going to put achievements in square brackets, in square brackets I dot, what's the last one, needed, the needed amount, and then we want to pass in the boolean if the quest has been completed or not. So we can say achievements in square brackets I dot completed. It was here. Nope, not current amount. Completed, this one. So if that is the case, then we get all the correct informations about that. So, and we should visualize that completely. Once again, if you put an icon over there and using that, then of course it needs to be in this list here as well. I want to save that, so we hopefully get rid of this error message, because, well, we now put in all the necessary information. But what we don't have is the actual, text field for this. In that case, we can do, or we have to open the prefab, or in this case, we go and need to redesign this little A holder object over here. Probably it's the best way for the moment to just open that and redesign it. So in my case, I'm gonna need to add a new text element over here. Maybe I'm gonna make it like as visible onto the right side. Gonna make it a bit smaller because, well, we don't need to have much more than that. Maybe I'm gonna make it like a darkish green or something, so we just see that maybe a bit easier. Gonna make it bold, and I don't know where to place it. Maybe I just keep it where it is, and so you have like multiple indicators for this. Like if it says complete, then you don't need to take care of that, and otherwise it doesn't say that, but maybe I'm gonna put it here. Well, once again, up to you. Maybe I can also do it with this image over there and get rid of the image, or place the name text over here, and maybe make this one a bit smaller, and maybe also this a bit smaller. Not quite sure yet. Once again, totally up to you. Maybe I also center this like from top to bottom, so I can center this one next to it and make this one a bit bigger, getting a bit meanwhile I'm here getting this over there, and this text now is going to be my amount. Just rename things so you know what's going on. And we now need to, go back into the A holder and drag the corresponding new text, the amount text, over here. And now the most important part is we need to override that. Apply all, and then we should be good to go. I get rid of that, and let's take a look. So whenever we open this, we can see 0 out of 10, 0 out of 50, because again, the list gets filled automatically. Once again, you can keep some space over there. And when we now click like 10 times, we should be able to see now that we have completed the click 10, and it now says, okay, we have completed this task, this quest. Once again, you can make use of an icon, whatever you want to, and you see, okay, we already have 11 out of 50 for the next quest. And again, we have the scrollability over here, we have the mask running at this point, and we can now create hundreds or even thousands of different click quests. I'm gonna create some more over here, which I'm gonna go and rename them to, I don't know, 250. So click the button or any button 250 times. And we can also go in the next one, which is going to be click 1000. And the needed amount, of course, is going to be 1000. We're gonna make it so. And we have another one, which maybe is like an ultra clicker. We're gonna make it 10,000. Click the button 10,000 times. Fill in everything you need, of course, into your quest. So we have a click 10,000. The IDs, once again, if you are not using the name identifiers and you use the IDs, then you want to automate probably filling the IDs based on the element number. So element 4 should be 4, element 3 should be 3, element 2 should be ID 2, element 1 should be 1, 50, 50, and needed amount 50. Again, this one is element 0 in this list, so 10, 10, 10. Make sure you control everything, that everything works or is completely correct. Click 1000, needed amount of 1000, needed amount of 10,000. Pretty good. Don't forget to save. And the final step again is wherever these clicks are going to happen. In my case, it's in the game manager. We also want to do the achievements for the other ones here as well. So in that case, we have, I believe it was a 250, then it was 1000. As again, these are going to be my identifiers over here. Okay, and I'm gonna copy these lines of code here as well for the other clickability things, for the other click achievements, and don't forget to save. And we should be good to go. So we can open this, we can see click 10, click 50, click 250, click 1000, click 10,000. We haven't clicked any of these buttons yet, so when I click those 1, 2, 3 and open this, you can see all of these do now have 3 achievements, basically 3 clicks. And we can also do another 3, 1, 2, 3, and we should see a 6 over here. And when I now take the shovel one, we have the first one completed. We have seen now this little screen over there. And now we can, once again, design hundreds of thousands of different achievements. We just need to understand how do we achieve them, literally. So what is the identifier? How do we actually, what do we want to achieve in this case? So we can also put something like update something or upgrade like when we go over here, upgrade this or that amount of and that amount of stones, upgrade this amount of upgrades, do the auto fishing, like buy auto fish, buy pickaxe, buy shovel, and if you go and do those, you can literally see pretty easily how this comes together. So every time you just count up one, and if that is something like buy auto fishing as its maximum level, like level 5, you just have to count 5 times. So the maximum possible shop item over here gets later on shown over there. Pretty good. So now we have the achievement system completely up and running. We can once again put in hundreds of different achievements into the list. We can also keep that rather small if you want to. We can also do something like complete the game achievement. So whenever we complete the game, like whenever all the sand is gone at my point over here, and so on and so forth, once again we can also see all the other achievements coming along whenever we click more than enough. And we also see now, this one is completed, pretty good. The correct stuff has happened beforehand, and we also see the current progress of all the other things over there. That concludes my stream for today. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you have any questions, feel free to ask below in the in the comments if you want to. And if you have any questions in the live session, feel free to ask them in, let's say, the next minute. Otherwise, not. No questions overall, that's good. So I think you got it. Well, if you want to learn more about Unity, and if you want to take some of my courses, feel free to check the description box down below, in which you're going to find multiple courses you can take a look into. I have multiple different things running over there, and yeah, if you need any help, like a direct help, like a direct teaching, I would say, or you need help with your game at all, with your project, check the description box down below, in which you find my website where you can contact me and hire me for your project if you need help in any kind of a case, based on Unity, of course. So, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope once again you enjoyed this one. Thanks a lot, Augustine, for taking or being here as well as the other ones like Iro, Yanni, as well as Liquid, and probably some other hidden guys meanwhile, or girls meanwhile, checking this one out. Thanks a lot, and yeah, have fun and take care. Bye bye.